Right, we're back again with this one. Meghan and Harry are at war with the royal family and trying to maliciously destroy the firm. Now, there's been a lot, you're fully aware, all over legacy media and social media about the royal family lately. More so than ever there was during the Diana Gate era. And even more so than the Andrew business. The Andrew business was kept purely on the gossip columns. I remember reading about the initial Andrew scandal in 2010 in the Mail gossip columns. Is it Ephraim Woodhouse? Something like that. Yeah. And that was kept under wraps. It was sizzling around, but it was kept basically under wraps until the whole thing blew up like we know it did in 2019, was it? I can't remember when. That guy that owned the island carked it. Do you remember? I can't remember. But whatever. What was it, 18? That happened, and then it all slowly came out, right? But apart from that, there hasn't really been the amount of the sheer amount of actual gossip and innuendo and malicious smears, and there's a real campaign of hatred against the royal family at the moment. Now, it occurs to me there's a certain couple in, let's just say California, that are always hawking their asses around, what do you call them? William Morris Endeavour. They're, what are they called? I can't remember what they're bloody called now off the top of my head. I'm doing this verbatim, so half the time I haven't got a clue what I'm on about. But yeah, so they've always got a propaganda company, haven't they? Well, public relations or something they're called. And it occurred to me that when you think how many public relations they've had and for how long they've had them, and what public relations they've actually done is like just, well, none really. They've never managed to elevate her above what we know her to be, which is bloody annoying, really. So it does rather make me think public relations probably, I don't know nothing about this area of business at all, but it does occur to me that public relations would just as well put your perceived enemies down as raise you up. Does that make sense? So I'm sort of half thinking that maybe, because we can't see any actual gain of having public relations, whether it was Sunshine Sachs or William Morris, they've never done anything discernible to increase her popularity. I mean, she's a walking disaster, she does it all herself, but they've never managed to elevate her above what she is, what we know her to be. So I'm wondering why they're always in hock to public relations, and I'm wondering, are the public relations concentrating on putting their perceived opposition down as much as possible, and in that way raising the bar for those two? Does that make sense? And also the way some of the legacy media in Britain have hopped on over to the Monty Shit Show side of the road at the moment. It's been going around social media for the past couple of days that Buckingham Palace is due to make a bombshell announcement, which, as to the time that I'm doing this, which is nearly 5 o'clock on Sunday evening, nothing's come out. So I don't know, it's just a load of hooey, isn't it? And there's lots of, is Charles going to abdicate? Where's Kate? That nonsense about that photograph, which I'm sick to death of hearing about that bloody photograph. At the end of the day, it's her phone, it's her children or William's children, William's iPhone. If he wants to get on there and take a photograph and edit it like we all do, you can ponce around with photographs nowadays. If somebody's frowning in the photograph, you can change it for a photograph you might have on your stock of that same person smiling and just alter it. You can do so many things with an iPhone nowadays. The actual fuss that's being made about that photograph puts me in mind that they're deflecting, or they're trying to make everyone look over here, look over here, look over here, and don't look over there. And it's definitely damaged the royal family, and they've made dead certain of that with the help of not only social media, but legacy media as well. Because I don't think the public have ever had such a low opinion of the royal family of what they've got at the moment. Obviously not as individual members, but the whole of them together. So that's what, because I mean, we've been shown photographs of Sophie and her husband Edward. They're away skiing. The York daughters are away skiing. They're all having a fine time. We're all over here freezing. It's always pouring with rain. You know, can't afford to be eating on. England's going to hell in a handcart, but you get treated to photographs of them lot skiing, you know, in Switzerland and places like that, you know, very exclusive resorts and all that crap, right? And then you've got Kate, who's non-existent, William, who you see now and again, but basically there's been a lot of different things about William coming out as well. One about his bad temper, which was rather shored up again by what was alleged in Harry's book, whatever it was called, that does shore up latest theories about him having a really bad temper. So I am wondering whether the point of the Sussexes having all these public relations companies working for them isn't in fact working for them in the way that you'd initially assume, but they're working for them. That's my theory, and it's my theory. I'm entitled to my own opinion. You're entitled to yours. This is my conclusion, because I just can't, and I'm sure you're the same. None of us been able to work out why they spend so much blooming money on public relations when everything they do is a big boo-boo. So, you know, it would make more sense if they're using public relations to, as I say, cast a bad shadow over their opposition, as much as trying to raise Harry and Meghan up, which is like trying to bring the Titanic up from the deep, isn't it, really? I mean, you got Bob Hope and no hope, really, haven't you? So we're going to listen to Nana Akuri, because she's the only media talking head that I found that speaks somewhere near what I think.
Now, there's always something going on in the royal household, and this week has been no different. And every Saturday I love to give you a rundown, and who better to do so than royal biographer Angela Levin. Angela, it's been a busy royal week, hasn't it?
Oh my God, not that load of old crap again.
So talk to me about what are the main things? Of course, Meghan's released this thing. What's going on?
Yeah, I'll do that a bit later.
What do you like?
Yeah, I think what we need to understand now is that there is a war going on. There is a war going on between Meghan and Harry and the rest of the royal family.
Yes.
And with the Sussex squad, they're jumping on whenever there's anything that they can actually destroy or overcome.
Yes.
So when they know that Catherine has been quite ill, so they come up with things that are really unpleasant and nasty, and people are blaming Catherine.
Yeah, it pure reminds me of the War of the Roses, that's set without the knights in armour and horses and spears and one thing and another, swords. It's just a modern day version of the War of the Roses, where you've got two cheeks of the same arse, again, flailing around in public for our delectation to get people on either one side or the other for their own nefarious means. I mean, what the outcome of is I don't know. But the outcome immediately is that people are just getting thoroughly fed up with the whole of the bleeding nonsense of all of them. They're all as bad as each other, from what I can tell. Obviously, I'm not talking about people that are ill in the royal family. I'm talking about the others. That it's gone to hell in a handcart pretty swiftly, hasn't it, really? From when Charles had his coronation to now. Yes! Hasn't gone too well, has it, darlings? Right.
For everything. So what if a picture isn't quite right? So what? She doesn't happen to have a
I actually didn't watch this bit, but she's dead right in what she's saying, because I just don't see what the fuss is about. We're being told what to think. We're being told to be outraged that she wasn't wearing her wedding ring. I don't wear my jewellery when I'm indoors. I only put my rings on when I go out, or if I'm doing something, you know? Like if I'm doing something for you guys. Usually if I'm just working and doing like housework, or when I'm at work, I don't wear my rings. Why would you? I don't even wear my wedding ring. It's not a big deal. I'm sure there's a lot of women out there that don't wear their wedding ring and their engagement ring. Do you know what I mean? They've usually got precious stones in them, darling. So it's no big deal that she didn't have her wedding ring on. It's no big deal that the photograph was edited. And I'm not really sure what the hooey was about, apart from to take a really low blow at somebody that is so evidently out of circulation at the moment. For whatever reason, she's out of circulation. She's obviously feeling the weight of the world on her and trying to obviously do a bit of self-care for herself and probably run her household and still take care of her kids. I'm not saying they haven't got staff and this, that and the other, but I think the bigger your business is, you know, the more worries you've got, really. See, if she just lived in a little house on her own, she wouldn't have all these threats and worries, would she? So, yeah, and I think this little madam we're all looking at here on the right is at the bottom of it all, because she, what was it, Shalon Lester, that said a very interesting interview, because she's editor of some magazine or other, And she said there was never anything, she could never get any dirt on the royal family in all the years she was editing some magazine. Can't think what it was. You Americans would know it better than me. It's one of your top magazines. And she was always rooting around and getting her investigative journalists to root around, try and get some dirt on the royal family. And they could never get anything until a certain person here on the right entered the stage left of the royal family. And since then, it's just like a sieve. It's a constant drip, 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 drip. Every few minutes of every blooming day, week in, week out, month in, month out. And it's going to go on forever until that thing is the Queen of Britain. I'm telling you, in her head. I mean, I'm not saying I want that, but in her mind. Yes, she's not nearly as nice as that little, what is her, little graceful, look at me, I'm so feminine. Look, no, she's definitely not. What is it, Charles nicknamed her? Tungsten. And he probably know a lot better than us.
Ring on, but there's a very, very nasty tray that's going on about that, which is really very serious. You can see that Catherine has had much more attack than King Charles, who also won't explain exactly what's been wrong with him.
No.
I think people are entitled to keep that. We don't own them. Obviously, they can say something, but it's really malicious.
I mean, I can't see what's the matter with that photograph. They've picked out 16 different areas where he's this, and they're all touching their third finger. And I've heard all sorts of, opinions on this. And even when they're, oh, look, they're all touching their third finger. And you're like, and? Just so, yeah, maybe they are, I don't really care. But, and? They just point it out with no conclusion as to why they were doing it and why it's important that we pick up that they're doing it. Just ridiculous. The whole thing is just ridiculous. It was Mother's Day and they wanted to put out a picture of her being a mother. She's the mother of the future King of England and this, that and the bleeding other, isn't she? One day he's going to be king. I just don't understand it unless it's to redirect, or it was their misguided attempt to redirect the constant attack they're getting from California. That's one of my threads of thought for you two viewers.
I think it's incredibly bad. And the irony of it is the hypocrisy of Meghan and Harry.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So are you saying that they're behind some of
yes, all of it.
All
of it.
Do you have evidence of that? Or?
Well,
you don't
have
need to.
Very strong inclinations about that. And
so
the way they behave.
Yeah, definitely, because, she's hit on it as well, because at the end of the day, we all know, the whole world knows, that they've had a public relations company one after the other, marketing people, this, that, the other. And she still walks around in the most worst looking and wearing clothes you've ever seen. He always walks around with crumpled up suits, looking like a hangdog, doesn't he, really? Expression, he looks like he's, do you know what I mean? Dropped a £20 note and found a penny, doesn't he? Really pissed off. They're never really fully engaged in the subjects that they're pretending to be engaged in. Just word salad-esque, the whole thing. Nothing's changed. It doesn't matter how many PR firms they've engaged. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is the galvanisation of vitriolic spin, misinformation and disinformation hurled at the royal family. That is the only thing that's changed. So I'll leave that with you.
My views. And, to talk to the women's... she was with a women's discussion a few weeks ago, and she said, what matters is to understand people through your action, to be very kind. They're not being very kind.
No, Angela, darling, we all know that she's the biggest hypocrite in this bleeding planet. What she says on the outside, again, she's like the iceberg, isn't she, that the Titanic hit. You could only see the top bit. Most of it was underneath the bloody ocean, wasn't it? And that is what she's like. You only see the top part of what's going on. Really, there's a hell of a lot more going on under the sea, or behind the scenes that none of us are supposed to know about. But I mean, the actual weight of it and the sheer amount of it, most people are coming to the same conclusion that I've come to, that this is all a put-up bleeding job. It's got to be, because it's not coming from the royal family. They seem to be trying to, forever running around trying to play catch-up and just go about their business and not actually react back, because that's what they want. That is exactly what the Megalite wants. They both want a member of the royal family to say something or to react. And I think that will be when the proverbial dirt, let's say, let's be polite, Gertie, the dirt will hit the fan. They're provoking them. That's the way I look at it. And it's working to a degree, because as I've just said, we're all getting thoroughly fed up with all this shenanigans with the royal family, aren't we? We really are. We really are. Come on.
Not, and I think for her to have have her new podcast, or not another podcast, to have her new act of starting her whole life as a cooking guru.
Oh my God. Well, of course she's a cooking guru. She used to bag a chef, so she's going to be in tune to get me capiche. Oh, dearie me. Oh, I just hope that she doesn't feed a horse, because next thing you know, she'll be a champion rider, won't she? No.
Just at the time when it's about Diana's charity.
Here we go.
It's absolutely terrible. Now, it says two things. One, Harry now that don't feel so close to his mother. When I was with him, he was always feeling that his mother was with him, helping him.
Oh my God, grow up.
Perhaps now he doesn't think that.
Well, I think he feels like he's...
No, he's got a new mummy now. He don't need the old mummy. All that waving the hands around, it's really not good in marketing terms as well, because it's very condescending. She sat there with a microphone, then the room was small enough for her not to need a microphone. If you looked at it, there was probably about 30 people sat in there. Is he have a microphone that's as big as my bleeding head? And sit here and pontificate about stuff I don't really know anything about. She was talking about misinformation on the internet. I mean, you could not make... It's all... I've heard it said many times, it's like she's trolling the world. Because with her, black is white, you know, up's down, in's out, you know. And it's the same with her squad. That don't forget, they thanked, or he thanked in his book Spare, didn't he? Oh, where would we be without the Sussex squad? Oh dear, where would we be indeed?
He's transferred to Meghan, she's taken that role.
Yes.
But they would argue that this is 4 years to the day that they had their freedom and left the UK.
Oh God,
that's
please.
thing to say. That's
don't
not
come back.
Important. What's important is Diana's awards, and the fact that perhaps Harry doesn't.
Well, I didn't even review that because I saw it, and I mean it was just a hot mess. You had William making a speech about it in situ. He was actually there, and then you had this half man doing it from the attic or somewhere in Monty Shit Show, wasn't he, or the chicken coop? I'm not sure where he was. And again, talking about stuff you know he hadn't actually read up on. He didn't read his notes beforehand, so he was just coming out with the same old cliched sound bites and waving his hands around quite a lot and being, well, just idiotic numpty Harry, wasn't he, really? Because they're not really engaged in the subjects that they purport to be engaged in. Usually, if they do engage in the subject, it's because it's got a larger implication, usually financial for them, somewhere down the line, if you get me. So when they were talking about wanting to raise women in America, middle-class women, the other week, do you remember? Well, it's easy to work out because Biden had just given his State of the Union, like I told you, and said there's a big pot of money going there for people and interested parties and what are they called, non-government bodies, in other words, charities, that can apply for grants to raise women. And straight, quick as a flash, a couple of days later, she was out raising women, wasn't she? Do you get me, capiche? And filling in the forms for her Archie well to get a big amount of money out of Cashport. Yeah, I'm going to raise women or something or other. We've all heard it so many times. So, it's just so nefarious. I wouldn't even trust her if she said her name was Meghan. Well, basically, because it's not, it's Rachel, innit? But whatever, go on.
For saying anything what Meghan's doing now.
Yes.
And she's coming up with a regal sort of A&R
Oh,
for the
my
title,
God.
American,
Bullshit.
whatever it is, ridiculous nonsense.
Yes,
thing.
that's it, that's it.
That it's all gone, that it's all perfect for her. Well, actually, you can't do anything with that first page. Nothing's happening for a few weeks. So it's just to tell you. So she didn't need to do it on that day. It wasn't something that had been prepared for.
Oh, look at me! I just had my facelift and all went away.
Yes.
On the day, or pretty much.
No.
I think this was the official film of her doing this, and I'm sure it was put through filters. What do you reckon, VTube? What do you reckon? Because for 48, 49 in August, she's not doing too bad, is she, there? She must have a load of makeup caked on, because if you see her without all the right filters and light, she doesn't look a lot like that, does she, darlings?
Nothing. That's going to happen in a month or
Yes.
so.
There's nothing there, just one page
You can't
around about the same
yes,
time.
you can't buy anything. You can't. You can put your name down to receive information,
Yes.
but it's nothing is there yet.
Right.
So the thing is to do it when everybody's down, when the king is unwell, when Catherine's unwell, when William is very stressed, and you can actually make a big impression, and you can win. You can show them that they are better, they're more organised than anything.
God.
They can do better. I think it's absolutely dreadful.
No, I don't think that's actually paid off. That might have been their raison d'etre, Angela, but to be fair, you're talking about the Marklets, darling. Talking about two heavily disordered individuals. And that might have been their intention, but it certainly hasn't paid off, darling. It really hasn't. Anyway, I'm already bored of the subject. I'm sure you are as well. But I mean, give it a thought, because I don't know where you are in the world, but in Britain we are inundated by the minute, if not the second, with other stories coming out. As I say, for 48 hours they've had, apparently, the news stations camped outside Buckingham Palace because they're waiting for this big announcement. They're going to make a groundbreaking announcement. It's just hooey. Who's told them that? You know, because Charles and that, they just seem to be having a normal Sunday. So it's all very, very odd. And I think the end game is to really knock the royal family off their perch, which has basically, more or less, at this precise point, been done. It's sort of game, set, and match. They've discredited them so terribly and slandered them so awfully as well. Yeah. That's not to say that it's put any more good light on them two, which is what they hoped. It's rather brought the royal family down to their level, where we're all just fed up with a load of them, really, you know. Especially when you think about things that are going on in the world, you know. And, yes, children in Gaza, Ukraine, and... Oh, you can hear my grandson in the background. He's got his mates around. Anyway, I'm going to go now, because he's just going to get louder and louder, and I'm going to have to talk louder and louder as well. So, love you and leave you, wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Don't let the bed bugs bite. And don't forget what I always say nowadays, don't let the bastards get you down. Bye-bye now.